When am I going to die? When? What's the exact date? This app really raised the question of how are you living right now? What kind of questions are you asking to get a baseline of how long I'm going to live?
The ones that stick out in your mind are obviously the ones that you feel like you answered poorly. There are certain things that are a reflection of things that are happening during the day, either with your diet or with your mental health. It makes you sit and pause for a second of like, how many times a week do I actually do this? And answering it honestly.
As far as the percentage of the 29 questions that were asked, made up the largest percentage. That is our biggest lever that we can pull.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
I'm Rachel, and there's so many giant headphones on today's pod. Oh, that's
I think I should
doing
just be Howard Stern. Does anyone have that reference? Is that old?
You have to be, you have to be pretty old.
What?
But I got the hair and you get the glasses.
Yeah, it
and
comes
so
back.
Combined, and we have the giant headphones.
Yeah, which also comes back. Like the 90s are back, baby. But let's leave all the things that we really didn't like. That's what I really feel like we should do a better job of, if I'm being honest. When styles come back through, I'm cool with that. I'm ready, honestly, because I don't throw out my clothes. So I'm ready for it to come back. But what we need to
She
do a
doesn't
better
throw
job
out her
of.
clothes. As the original version of that cami, three layers of lace camis underneath our Hollister shirts. She has those still from the first time.
Yeah, so I'm ready. Honestly, like you're
version.
not prepared and I am prepared.
No, I'm not prepared. It's true. But I have a rule, though, that if I did it the first time, I can't.
You can't repeat it? Then
You
what's
know
your
how
hair
I
about?
am about rules. You know how I am about rules. It's a very, there's a line in the sand, I make it, and then it's ridiculous.
She likes rules. She does.
I do like them. And if I did the fashion trend the first time when it was like original, unless I never stopped. Like, for example,
Unless I never stopped.
For example, if and when Uggs come back in, I get to still keep them because I never stopped wearing them.
I was gonna say, did they leave? Because I have Uggs.
I don't know.
And I live in South Florida, so my mother-in-law calls them my winter woolies, and every time I come down with them on, she's like, "You got your winter woolies on." She's from Australia.
Can
that
I
was
have
terrible.
that? Can I also call them winter woolies? Because I like that way better.
For sure. I mean,
wait, they're from Australia,
call
so maybe that's what
they are.
Yeah, Uggs. They're originally made in Australia.
Oh, well, cool. Yeah, they're my winter woolies, and I wear them all the time. I don't have them on today, but I definitely wore them yesterday. And
Well,
it's
a high of 92. Yeah, I don't know that that's appropriate, but
I didn't wear them outside. Well,
I did have to bring the trash in. So.
Not for long outside, like when I was like chasing Kobe a little bit. But I did. You know what I'll do though? I'll put them on with shorts. I don't care.
See, that's a 90s thing too. Roll the shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have like terry cloth shorts and you roll them 60 times and then you put your Ugg boots on. Oh, your winter woolies.
They're just so
but that's what I'm saying. But if I continued it the whole way through, then I can have it.
Feet.
But I let the low-rise jeans go. I went a different direction, so now I can't do them again. Let
me tell you guys what, though. I'm going to tell you a secret here in the podcast on whatever episode we're on. Rachel went so hard on the low-rise jeans that she doesn't need for them to come back because she hit them so hard the first time. There was a pair of jeans now. Okay, everyone remembers the low-rise, right? They go below your hip bones, whatever. But let me tell you how far she took it. She had low-rise jeans that had a buckle that was see-through. The buckle didn't have fabric on the other end. So low-rise, picture this. This was like a peekaboo to the top of your vagina.
It was real, like you had to have a full Brazilian in order to wear these jeans.
This is a staple in my mind forever because anyone who has younger sister. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I am the younger sister. So I remember, and I don't know if this is just a personality thing, but I remember everything. I have a weird memory anyway, but you're watching your older sisters do everything. Everything that they wish that no one saw and they forgot, and they didn't pluck their eyebrows like that. Your little sister saw the entire thing,
And
and
you
they will
get a
remember.
podcast later, they will tell thousands of people that
About your
you wore
see-through buckle.
with a with a peekaboo vagina opening at the ripe age of 16.
I was like, "Those are so cool," with no pockets in the back. You guys know the style I'm talking
Oh
about.
my
You
god.
guys know.
Those were one slip away from
Mm,
well, listen,
because
that's why
it's
I can't
just
do
a
it
little
again.
the
I
zipper
went
was
too hard.
about an inch. The
Oh,
zipper from crotch
man.
to top, there's about an inch, and then there's the
And
see-through
you had to
buckle,
be
and the
careful
buckle
with that
was, like,
zipper.
this big. Yeah, like, zipper it away from what's going
Alright, so
on.
that's why I can't do it again, 'cause
So, guys, we do have, like, a little bit of I don't know if this episode is gonna cause you anxiety because, initially, when we posed the topic to this episode, I was like, "I don't wanna know the date of my demise," and then I had to really think that over, but on the theme of things that cause
that's
you
a you thing.
It is?
Fun, sounds fun.
I thought that would be opposite, to be honest with you, because
I
you would
I
be like, "I don't know, I have a date now," and, like, you'd write it down in your diary and check it every
I don't
day,
have a
like, when
diary.
I saw how many weekends I had left, I was like, "Help me, God. I have to maximize every one of them." How many
See,
hours?
no,
Like, I get weird.
that no, that's it
No.
is
Okay.
true that you would think given our
Personality, I think it would be
yeah,
opposite. Yeah.
I agree. The far more anxious person would take that information and use it as I don't know, I've never really had, trouble with,
See, I
like,
feel the
death.
pressure to live, though. So, like, I really like, if I'm in a so let me give you an example of this. If I feel some type of frustration with, like, a facet of parenting, I then feel a secondary frustration with myself for not enjoying it enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like, there's too many people in my bed. This is like, I need to have a little bit of sleep. And then you go, and then you're like, one day you're going to be 90 and you're going to be alone in your bed and you're going to be wishing there was people in your bed. So you better enjoy this right now. That's where I go.
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in what? Living every second?
No, that people go when they're 90 in their bed alone, they're living in regret. I'll tell you what, I'm
Not regret.
stretching all the way out. I
That's not what I mean in regret. But I
I'm
mean in
rolling,
reminiscing. You're
but
rolling.
that's see, but that's the thing is like to me, that's perfect. I can reminisce. I'm not gonna feel bad about it though. I'm gonna say, "Oh, there was this time that, I had all these people and now I have just me. Fucking way better. It's way better. Just me, it's way better."
She's just
I loved
rolling
it.
around in
No,
her
but really, I
king
don't believe in
size
that. I
bed.
don't be no, I will take the whole thing, and I will say, "Yeah, it wasn't always like this, but freaking hell yeah, look at this space I have. I'm gonna put a leg out. I might who knows what I might
Who
do?
knows?
Who knows what I might do because I
I'm not
can."
gonna lay on my leg, get
I
hot.
already did that other thing, it was great, I enjoyed it the whole time, but I don't have any more time for it, to be all worried about why I'm not doing it now. Jeez, nothing's
Mm.
forever. I don't know,
Well, that's why we
I don't
took
get
it
like that.
differently, I think, because that's not how I feel. I feel like,
I totally get
live in
you.
your moment, and if you're and, like, but I take it a little bit too far because I do a great job living in the moment, but I take it a little bit too far that if I'm, like, not enjoying it enough, like, "You're gonna miss this. You really have to dive in." But there's another side to that coin because we talk about balance on the podcast all the time, that's like there is a level of yes, that is a great perspective, and, like, if you don't live in the moments that you're in right now, you're gonna miss it and regret it, and it's gonna be not it, but also, there's a reality of, like, this is hard right now, and it's okay to say it's hard right now. Like, they're both things can exist at the same it's the both things can exist at the same time.
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
Do you really think
How's my teeth?
that I wasn't gonna ask you that, but are your teeth okay? I guess it's a
Ask
bit
your
of a
question first.
okay. I just wanted to say to you, and this is rhetorical because you don't have to answer, but is it truly living in the moment if you're saying to yourself, you better enjoy this or you'll regret it later that you didn't enjoy it? Is that actually living in the moment though? Is that just feeling your feels at that moment, or is that just future telling and like forcing like anxiety over the fact that you'll regret not being in this moment when you're not even in the moment because you're doing that?
So
That's all
both
I have
of
to say.
those so you weren't
No,
actually
I'm saying you don't have
asking.
to answer. No, I'm
No,
saying you
I
don't have to
wanna
provide an
answer.
answer.
I
Okay,
do
okay.
wanna answer because I think this is one of those things where both things can exist at the same time, where you can say, like, I would like to remind myself to live in the moment, and that can, for a lot of times, bring you into the moment because you go, like, "Wah, wah, wah," in the other direction and say, like, "Well, this is a moment I might regret," so it brings you back into the moment, but both of those things can exist at the same time. Like, you can feel and acknowledge the fact that you have anxiety at the future for the future and bring yourself back into the moment, and that can serve as a reminder because, like, for a lot of us, we don't well, for everyone, you don't really have full control over your thoughts, but you do have control over how you respond to them, right? So if you're a person who, like, your mind goes in a certain direction and then you have an answer for it, so, this is, like, something we practice with mindset all the time, is that, like, if you feel anxious about something or, like, this is for people, like, going to the gym too, or, like, you start going in your spiral of, "This is what's gonna happen when I get there," you can't control that. People are going to spiral. People have, anxious personalities and some type of future telling and whatever, but you can have an answer for that that brings you back into the present, and um you don't need to feel bad the fact that, like, your mind went in that direction because you don't have control over that, but you do have control over your answer. So what I like to practice is, like, I have ready-made answers for things that cause me anxiety, and then I acknowledge them and I say, like, "Well, I'm working on that." Like, I'm working on that, and I'm working on, bringing it back in and then not feeling, anxious or not feeling, like, regretful or not feeling even, like, shame around the fact that, like, my mind took off in a different direction. Instead, I say, like, "It went off in a different direction, but I have the power to bring it back and then move in a way that it feels good and right for me."
That's right. And in the meantime, I'll just put on my shoes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta put on your shoes, that's all.
But that's an
Sometimes
answer, right? Like, that
that
you
is an
guys
answer.
can have for something that is, happening or spiraling. You can say, like, "Well, the next thing that I do might be a physical thing. I put on my shoes."
Are your teeth okay?
My teeth. So, I have dental anxiety. I don't this is a really, like, serious, like, long-standing anxious thing. The last time I went to the dentist prior to going, I got so anxious that I not only took gummies, they had to prescribe me an anti-anxiety medication for cleaning. Okay, this
Oh,
is
that's not a weird thing, I don't think.
okay,
I think a lot of people, like,
get, like,
pop
some
a
Xanax
Xanny.
before that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
I
People
was
have
like, I'm
mouth
not
things.
sure yeah, like, if this
No, I
is,
don't
like,
give
a
a shit.
common
I don't give a shit. I'll fall asleep.
yeah. You do?
No, I don't
That's
care.
so
I
weird.
care about nothing in my
And
mouth.
it's really weird because, like, I'm not a what she said, like, cavity prone people, like, that some people are very cavity prone and they get a lot of cavities. I do not. I've, like, had, like, 1 cavity, like, in my life, and it was, like, a sandblasty one, like, I haven't had a filling. So I'm not a cavity prone person, but I do have a lot of anxiety around it. So I finally went to the dentist yesterday, and she was like, "When's the last time you came?" And I was like, "Oh, I think it was 5 years." And then I was thinking, does everyone, like, gauge around the
5
pandemic?
years.
No, it was longer because I gauge around the pandemic, right? So, like,
Right,
2020 and it was 'cause
right.
everyone does that, right? Like,
No, yeah,
pre-pandemic,
that's like a
it's like a
yeah,
marker,
right,
like,
yeah,
like, if you can't remember something, you're like, "Was it before or after I was in my house?"
yeah.
So it's 2026. as we're recording this. And I was like, shoot, it was pre-pandemic. And then I was like, so that's got to be over 5 years. And then I was like, oh, I remember what building we were in for CBG, and it wasn't the one we're currently in.
Oh.
It was the one before that. So, that's closer to 7. Been a while. Anyway, my teeth are doing really good. She has really calmed my anxiety as a friend who I went to. And I got numb, so my mouth was like talking with half of it for like the rest of the day, which my daughter thought was a little weird. Like she's like, "What's wrong with your lip?" I was like, "It doesn't work." But anyway, I don't know if this is a friendly reminder for everyone to hit the dentist because it's not as bad as you're making it up in your mind to be.
Or it is, and you just get your Zanny and do it anyways,
It's
because you
true.
can't, guys, this is my PSA, you can't go 7 years with in between cleanings. That's not a
Mm-mm.
good idea. You
It's
got
not a good idea.
and can I tell you something just from the bottom of my heart? When
Yeah.
you leave, you have to schedule your next appointment. You
So
can't just go,
she did
"I'm
it.
gonna I'm gonna call you on
I
that.
said,
I'll
"I'm
just
gonna call
give
you."
you a
She said, "I
call."
put it on here."
Yeah,
She didn't even
and
check with me, like, on a date. She said, like, "I made it on another Thursday. I think that will work for you."
very good, very good. It's very important, and just schedule it, and then, when it's coming up, you say to her, like, "Hey, girl, let me get that Zanny," and it's like, it's all good because it's important, and your oral health is
It
a
is.
overall indicator of your well-being and your longevity and all of those
I'm
things.
surprised they
Oh,
didn't ask that in our
I
questions.
was gonna say, there wasn't any oral health questions, but maybe it's because, like,
How could they like, what would the question be? Well, you know what? It
no, the
could be,
question would be
like,
is
do you
if you go every 6 months for
because
your
they did
cleanings.
say, "Do you go to a medical provider?"
Exactly.
But they didn't specifically ask teeth, and they really should've.
Well, I want that in there. You guys, so what we did, so this is a hot thing. It's like everybody's talking about it. I don't know if it's just, like, all the rage. Stephen Colbert did a little blurb on it, but there's this
Oh,
death
did he say when
calculator.
he's gonna did he share
Yeah, he
his
did.
demise?
Yeah, he did, and then he said, like, a funny thing, like, it was, like, in a kung fu fight with, like, I don't know, Ryan Reynolds or something. Um, but
Oh,
there's
that's how
this
you're gonna go out. I love that.
there's this, like, viral app that claims to use AI to be able to ask you a series of questions, and with that information, plus, you can basically enter as much or as little as you want, but it's gonna ask you 29 base questions, and then it's gonna give you the exact day and year of your predicted death based on how you answer a series of questions. Now, first of all, there's no we are not promoting this as accurate in any way.
No.
Like, let's just be clear, we did this for fun. Kelsey did not think it was fun. I thought it was fun. But, we did it because, it's a viral thing right now, and more than anything, I was personally very curious about what kind of questions are you asking to get a baseline of how long I'm gonna live? I think that's very interesting. Longevity is a huge, huge topic in the health and fitness space right now. Hacks and supplements and all of the new AI advancements that are predicting we're gonna live forever. And this death calculator is right in with all of that hotness. So we did it. We did it. Kelsey reluctantly, me excitedly. We got our dates. It's called Death Clock AI, I think, right? Is that the one we did? Yeah. Death Clock AI, if you want to do it. If you're like a if you're feeling weird about this, don't do it, but we're gonna give you all of the interesting tea and the juice on, like, what they were asking to try to figure out how long you're gonna live and, like, whether or not that deserves any clout or whether it's all bullshit. What's your date?
What?
How long you gonna live?
Um, well, I'm gonna live until I'm 97, I think. Well, here's what the thing I wanna, like, plug on the back end of this. There is, like, layers of how much information you can put in aside from the questions, like, they're promoting that you send in some blood work and that they'll give you, based on your blood work, suggestions on how to essentially live longer and what your projection could be, that if you sent in your blood work and made some of these changes and paid them money, that they can extend your life. And I think that this is an interesting topic specifically right now because so many this is it's taken mainstream that people want to live forever, kind of, that like do anything to like live longer. Um I don't know how I feel about all that. I gotta have an exit at some point, you know what I'm saying?
So here's the caveat because I think that the way that I'm sorry, I think we're a little old and outdated on this. I think that the way that we're thinking of living forever isn't actually what longevity experts have in mind. What they have in mind is not living till you're 97 in the way that we consider a 97-year-old to live, function, behave, all of that, their mobility. Like that is not what longevity experts are predicting as the future. What they are predicting as the future is that a 97-year-old behaves, acts, moves, lives more like a 67-year-old. And what are the implications? Because I think when we all think of like living forever, like, no, thank you. We know what, older age looks like. We don't know what it feels like, but we've heard rumors that it's not too comfortable in many cases. And a lot of us have seen the cognitive decline of someone at that age and said, like, I'd rather not, especially when it comes to things like Alzheimer's or dementia. These are things that people are like that in many cases, that's not worth living. I don't want to live if that is my projected outcome. But I think that the interesting thing with longevity and AI right now is it's not so much about extending your life inevitably. It's about the quality and reversing the aging process,
Yeah. So there's
which
like a
is nice.
lot of there's a lot of like research. I mean, things have come a long way and they have said that they have the ability to reverse the aging process in a way of like, let me just like say this. So like they're targeting like specific hearing, for example, reverse the damage that's been done to that happens over time, like loud noises, just living like in general, to reverse that so that you essentially like have your hearing back to 20, 30 years ago. And they've decided that if you can do that with your ears, you can do that with your eyes, and it just continues on and reverse in the aging process. And I think that we have seen this in many ways without with some of the technologies that are in place. But have you ever seen that, like, meme of what's that show? Where they Cheers? Of what people in their late 20s, early
Oh,
30s looked like
yes.
from
Yes.
Cheers, and then compared to now, and some of the I have a very I don't know, you guys, if you haven't seen some of these images, like, you just gotta see it because, like, they had someone who looked like grandpa, and I think he was 32, like, he it was like, you would never now, like, you would never, and I think it's very interesting that we've held on to some standards of, like, what needs to happen in progression of your life without the realization of the extension, and not only the extension, but, like, the quality of the extension of your life. So, when it comes to, like, "Oh, are you too old to have babies at 35, 40, whatever?" You just start going like, "Well, wait a minute." Like, if we actually track what that looks like, and it did give, a projection of what your current, um, your current, like, biological is that what it's called? Biological age? Of, like,
Mhm.
what you not what you are right now, but, like, what you how you kind of, like, feel, if it was, like, younger, older, whatever, based on your lifestyle. So I thought that that part of the test was interesting too. I wasn't surprised. Do you know what yours was?
My date?
No. Do you know what your, like,
Biological age? Yeah,
yeah,
it was younger, than I am, but that's kind of the name of the game of, like, what scientists are working towards is not how long, but, like, what you feel like at that age, and like you said, the major studies being done right now, there's one about to start in July on blindness that is extreme on humans and is extremely groundbreaking, and based on the results, we things could really, really change. But I think that the interesting thing about this particular app, which, downloading it was free, but, like, of course, you had to, like, sign up for the free trial, like, agree to get a subscription in order to, like, get your date and everything. But I think the interesting thing about this app was, for me, the introduced idea of, like, an AI individual medical plan, like like having your own AI sort of medical professional at your fingertips at all times in your phone, and just like putting in like, oh, I'm gonna just put in my blood work to my AI doctor and have them spit out, if I'm doing well or not. And I think that kind of level of personalized care is another interesting facet to where we're going and the possibilities with health and age and longevity. Um, but before we go into the questions, which I thought were the more interesting part than the date, um, before we go into the questions, I do want to say where they're pulling their information from, because it's actually not just like a random.
date, projection. Yeah,
It's not. They're not pulling it from nowhere. It's coming from um real data that are based on studies and like large population studies, risk factor correlations, and public health research. So basically, every question that you take, it links a study of like where it got this information based on your answer, where it's going to place you based in longevity, based on the population around you. So although it's not predicting like you individually, it is comparing you to people like you based on your habits and how long they lived, and kind of like making a conclusion based on that. So it's not a crystal ball, it's just a probability calculator. So, you know, again, genetic factor, like all of these things are important, and they had questions on that, but is it completely random? No, it is not. It is working on statistical evidence and probability data, but does it know you individually? Could it possibly come up with an exact date and year? No, that's absurd. That's ridiculous. But it does have some value in the fact that it's pulling from actual data that is out there.
Hey, you.
Thanks for getting in touch with the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast.
We love your questions and adore hearing from you.
Leave us a hello,
A burning question,
feedback.
or anything else you want to share with us on the podcast.
We will play your message live on air if we can.
Thanks for being an amazing friend. Stay safe and moving. I mean, we know like the certain lifestyle changes and markers and what you're doing on a daily basis is going to impact not only your quality of life, but your life longevity. And yeah, I think some of these questions were definitely um they're very relevant to what we talk about on the podcast. And this is an AI data. We didn't pay them off, and we didn't. And I just want to say that one of the questions that wasn't there was how many calories you eat in a day. That actually
No
wasn't
questions
one
on
of the
calories.
questions.
Not one. Not one.
So the
But
scientists. Are not
Let's get
asking if
into
you're eating 1,200 calories.
no, they are not. No, they are not because, guess what? If they were, it would probably eating 1,200 calories a day would probably put you into a very dangerous,
It wouldn't be working
place
in your
longevity.
favor. Mhm.
Mm-mm. So, alright, so let's talk about the questions then, because I think we both personally felt that that was the most kind of interesting and relevant part of the app. So the first thing you do is you put in your age, your gender, your race, your height, and your weight. Okay. That gives them the baseline. And then you start on your 29 questions. So basically, the questions you could kind of put into 4 pillars of categories. There was some biological factors, which are like, things that you can't really control. It asked things like your age right now, your sex right now, your genetics, and some of your baseline health markers. There was even a question about like how long your grandparents lived, like your oldest grandparent. So it is taking into account some of the personal factors that go into your genetics. Then we could look into some lifestyle habit questions. Then there were some psychological health questions, which I was so excited to see. And then there was like where you rank in preventative health behaviors. So let's break it down into those 4 pillars, and I wanna tell you guys, like, what they asked and why I think that they were really interesting and relevant questions.
So you wanna start with the lifestyle habits?
I think because like, the biological stuff, again, not really changeable. How long did your oldest grandparent live? What are you, male or female? We know females are going to typically live longer when we're just looking at all of the, general population studies. So not really much you can do about there. But the lifestyle habits were a far bigger section of questions than the biological health questions, which I found super helpful and awesome. So,
And
let's
this
talk
is
about what
all
they
this
asked.
this is definitely like, this is all self-reported, right? So, like, I do find this, like, very accurate in a sense of, like, if you answer honestly, you have the best gauge of what your, daily lifestyle habits look like if you're answering honestly, because, like, sometimes when you have, like, a bunch of like, you have a practitioner answer that for you, you're like, "Well, you don't really have, like, a hold on it." So I do feel like there was some value in that. But, the quality of food was one of the first questions that were asked. How many processed, canned, or frozen, or fast food intake you have on a weekly basis. And this was one of the ones that, like, I thought was very interesting because, like, I thought that they have to give a time frame gauge too. You know what I'm saying? Like, of how often you are doing some of these things. And I felt like the weekly gauge was a really good one because it's not l li it's never a single meal or whatever, but when you look at consistency over time on a weekly basis, how many times are you doing this one thing? How many times does this, work its way into your life on a weekly basis? So, when it comes to processed foods, or, eating fast foods on a weekly basis, how many times are you doing that? And I thought I was sometimes when some of these questions come out, I feel, like, very proud of my answers, and then some of the ones that come out, you kinda feel like, "Oh, gotta work on that." Just by
Ooh.
simply asking the question, and because they're not giving any feedback, like, once you answer it, no emoji comes up that goes like there's no person on the other end being like you
Not
know what I'm
so
saying? Like
proud of you
yeah.
judging your ass right now.
You know how, like, when you have those, like, long questions when they're like, "Have you ever" "How many days a week do you consume alcohol?" And then you just, like, wait for the person's reaction and like, "Is that good or is that bad? Is that average?" You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like, I'm on the other end of that I'm like, "Is that about, like, what other people answer?"
like you said, like, this has a certain amount of value because you're taking it on your phone, no one's gonna see it, and the results are only for you. So, like, when you're saying to a medical practitioner in your yearly visit, like,
Yeah.
how many times a
I'm
week
more
do you eat
likely to lie.
processed food?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, never. I don't even what do you mean? No, McDonald's, never heard of it. I don't touch that stuff, lady, okay?
Lady.
But it's like, no, but seriously, you are
I mean,
feeling
I go
judged.
like a glass of wine, like at dinner, or was it 2 or more? And it's like, well, it depends on the week, ma'am.
Damn. Like, what I mean, so
Did anyone shit
you're
their
right.
pants?
How
I
many
get
people shit
defensive.
their pants? I get defensive because it might be 2 or more, okay?
Okay.
But I just need you to understand that people shit their pants. So I also liked the given you the timeline of like, okay, on a weekly basis, because you're right. It didn't just say like, damn, did you have this one bad week where you ate out all week or like or one day it gave room for you to feel comfortable with your answers. And so the first one was on food quality, and then it went into exercise. There were two separate questions on exercise. One asked cardio, one asked weights. So I loved that. First of all, it didn't just say like, hey, do you like
Do
get
you
up and
exercise?
run? No,
Mhm.
two separate questions, and it wanted to know um, on a weekly basis in terms of minutes. And I was very familiar with this study. I've read it a million times. I know what study they're pulling from to get this data. And it wanted to know the baseline being like 150 minutes of cardio. And then the weight training was just like, do you weight train on a weekly basis?
2 or
How
more.
many
Well,
times?
it gave you a, like,
Yeah,
gauge
how
of,
many
like, how many
times?
2 or more, like, to do 1 or more, but, like, it was its own ask question. I was a little bit I had more of a pause when it came to, endurance or the cardio question because I was like, in a matter of minutes, how you know what I mean? And I do feel like a lot of people, who do different types of training or, like, when it comes to, like, people who have little kids, like, sometimes, like, yeah, it's not like a gym session, but, like, I was running the whole time. We had to do I was being demanded that I had to run from here to here and then race and then you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you're like, "Well, was that at the gym? No, but, like, that was a cardio session."
I mean, but that's why I like gave, examples, like more typical examples of like hiking as a cardio activity, walking as a cardio activity, like how many minutes per week, and you gave your estimate. Um, ugh, then we got to the water question.
I thought of you when we were having that, and I was like, "This is its own question." Listen, when you have less than 30 questions to ask how long someone is going to live, you need to give proper weight to each one of those questions and that they are very valuable, okay? So it's its own question when it comes to water intake. Let it be known.
Shame. No, but that's why we're going over the questions, because you
Yeah.
have 29 opportunities to give someone a estimate on how long they'll live. That is very, very little information. And if one whole ass question is on how many cups of water or glasses of water you're drinking on a day, on a daily basis, it's freaking important. Sleep. 2 out of the 29 questions. 2. I don't know what percentage. I could do it real quick on my phone, but 2 out of the 29 questions had to do with sleep. One had to do with average number of hours per night. I know this killed your score. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, you probably would have lived to 101 if you didn't answer the way you did on that question. And then the other question had to do with frequency of trouble sleeping, like immediately falling asleep or staying asleep. 2 separate questions out of 29 on sleep. I'm
I
not
did wanna
saying we've been saying it, but
But we've been saying it. Two questions there, and I did wanna say, like, the indicator for trouble falling asleep and staying asleep, it gives a couple of other indications as to your quality of health and the food that you're taking on a daily basis and some, insight into mental health, so it's covering a couple different facets there because, if you're if your blood sugar is rising in the middle of the night, that you're gonna wake up. Like, there are certain things that are causing sleep disruption that are a reflection of things that are happening during the day, either with your diet or with your mental health, and the sleep is an indicator of that. So, although it had, it was included in 2 different questions, the reason for that is because it gives insight to some other things that you may not know to like, that is an indicator that you're paying attention to. And yeah, the ones that stick out in your mind are obviously the ones that you feel like you answered poorly, because I know sleep is important, but I'm in a season where
Sigh.
it is attacked. It's it's under attack, on a daily basis, but it's just a season. But I do wanna say, as far for some people who are like, "Oh, are you, do you work the overnight shift, or, do you have difficulty falling asleep? Do you wake up?" Or like what are some of the sleep disruptors that you have in your life on a consistent basis that is a major impact to your health and longevity?
It's important. We can't be perfect, but the knowledge that it's important is powerful in my opinion. Rounding out the lifestyle habit questions, we had one question on how much you sit. We know this, we've seen this study, we've looked at the study, we've talked about this study. Um, it was hours per day was how they were measuring it. So, how many hours per day are you spending sitting? I will personally tell you that after doing the death clock AI calculator and going
You
through a
stood up.
series of these questions, I made better choices based on the questions that I was asked. And I just think that if that's all I got from it, cool. Like, worth it. I stood up more that day. I walked more that day. I put my treadmill back on my underneath my desk, and I haven't been doing that for the last couple weeks. So, you know what? I was real happy that I took this, and I'm gonna stay not mad about it. And then the last, 2 questions in that lifestyle habits were based on, substance. So, alcohol use was one question. I believe it was number of times per week. And then nicotine use, all forms of nicotine. That includes vaping, that includes all of whatever newfangled ways we're smoking. Um,
Whatever the
and
kids are doing nowadays
whatever those kids are doing.
to reinvent smoking.
Frequency and history of nicotine use. So, definitely pillars that we know, we understand. There's more and more research coming out about alcoholism and brain health in terms of longevity. But that wine question keeps coming up.
I was like, "Well, it depends on the week, Barbara."
Did you Did you read here that I'm a mom, Barbara? Like, do I get, like, an extra
I was like,
little
there's a little give and take here. Like, I felt good about the nicotine question, so I was like, they
Yeah,
balance each other out.
let's go.
But
Okay,
all in all, it was great lifestyle questions. And definitely, I totally agree with you when you said, like, just being asked some of these questions, because we do have this knowledge, and this is kind of what we're hoping to do with today's podcast, is that you understand that these are some of the questions that are not just from us, that are impacting your health and longevity, and how that quality of life is going to look like for the rest of your life. That I also made some changes. Sitting was one that stood out to me a lot. I'm a person with ADHD. I get hyper focused, and sometimes I look down and then I look up and it's hours later. And the only reason why is because my bladder is about to explode. So good for me for drinking water, but not standing up, not great. So I think that being asked some of these questions is, just in a personal way, was very helpful, because it makes you sit and pause for a second of like, how many times a week do I actually do this? And answering it honestly. The next
maybe
group
it's not
was
as much as I thought.
maybe it's not as much, or maybe you go like, shoot, I drive around to a lot of practices, blah, 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 and
Yes.
I'm picking up food on the way, and that practice is 4 times a week. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like a minute in that time frame of, like, I'm just getting it done, but that turns out to be multiple times a week, and if I put a different snack in the car for those times, you would eliminate all of those 4, fast food stops, processed food stops, like, that's a major adjustment. That's a major life
Even if
change that
you
doesn't have.
eliminated one.
Yes, 100%. But I think sometimes, like, we don't realize how much we're doing something on a weekly basis because we're, like, sometimes in survival mode of getting from thing to thing. But when we back it up and look at it, it can be, very helpful.
Before we move on, I just wanna mention that out of the 4 pillars that we went through, um, as far as the percentage of the 29 questions that were asked, the lifestyle habits made up the largest percentage. Meaning, if you will take that at causality, um, that is our biggest lever that we can pull. So if
Yes.
you're only able to
Is
ask
what you
someone
have
29
control.
questions, exactly. That is our biggest lever that made up the most questions is just based on how you live day to day, how much you sit, how much you smoke, how much you drink water, how, what kind of foods you eat. These are the biggest levers we can pull in longevity, and that is why they made up the majority of the questions when you take it from a percentage standpoint.
Absolutely. And arguably, when it comes to your mental health, this is definitely a piece that is, there's some pieces that are not within your control, but there are some pieces of that that are within your control because we have tools in our toolbox that are able to exasperate or eliminate or decrease some of the, anxiety that causes then sleep disruption and then, you know what I mean? Like some things. So, stress was one of the questions that they asked, and, I think it was the number of times per week that you experience significant stress. Um, Stress had its own question though, so I just wanna pause on that for a second. Not cortisol, not but stress, perceived stress, and this is a great question that you're asking yourself. How many times a week do you experience a significant stressful event that you perceive to be significant? So, one of the things that I know I've talked about before on the podcast is, like, they didn't ask, like, what event was,
No.
like, they didn't ask, like, "Do you have a major life event happening?" That wasn't asked. It's your perceived stress. So, how we perceive stress is the most important thing rather than what's happening in our lives. It's how we perceive the things that are happening in our lives that is an indicator of how that's going to affect our health. So, when it comes to events that you perceive to be stressful, whether I would perceive them to be stressful or not, it really doesn't matter because if you are perceiving them to be a certain level of stress, your body is responding to that stress in a way that is going to kill you earlier.
Sorry, you can't just run from a lion, hypothetically, forever. I mean, that you're gonna run out of steam at some point, and, significant stress every day has been, the effects of your body is similar to running from a a a real danger.
I mean, that impacts not only like your hormone levels, it impacts your sleep, it impacts your nutrition choices. Like all of these things are impacted s- by something that you're experiencing psychologically. So like it wasn't asking about like physical stress, like did you go for a really hard run? You know what I'm saying? Like this is psychological stress of things that are you would think is just like in the box of just in your mind, but it's going to impact you physically.
I was thrilled/surprised at the number of psychological questions that were
Mhm.
asked. I thought this was gonna be very heavily based in, lifestyle and exercise and, like, just all the general pillars that we all think of. The amount of psychological questions was shocking to me and also, so amazing to see, like, someone else, kind of putting this forward. Mental health, it asked for an assessment of your overall mental well-being. Um, again, self-assessment is great when you don't feel like you're being judged because you can answer a lot more honestly. This next section of questions was everything for me
Oh,
because we've read these studies
yeah.
and we know that this is true, but just seeing it laid out in such a high percentage of the 29 questions was so good to see. There were several questions asking about your support system and asking specifically how supportive the people in your inner circle are when you have an event that you need to rely on them, asking about if you were married, if you have children, how many close friendships you have, or how many hours per week you spend with friends and family. Like that was its own question. How many hours a week do you spend with close friends or family? I mean, that's massive. 3 out of the 29 questions were dedicated solely to the people you have around you and how this factors into your health. That's more than the nutrition questions. That's more than the sleep questions. That's more than the water like the people around you, how that affects your overall health. 3 out of the 29 questions. Beyond. I was beyond.
Also, like, how supportive, the
Ugh,
how if you felt supported, like, how often you felt supported by the people who are closest in your life, and I thought that was a really impactful question too, because you can be surrounded by, friends and family, but, like, do I feel supported? And, like, for that to be one of the questions was a really big, like, you know light went on for that one too because I was like, this is obviously very important. We had a friendship expert come on our podcast before. So we have
loved
talked a
her.
lot about this subject about how, humans need that connection, that interaction, and how important it is for your health and longevity. And I think this is such an important topic going on right now with how much time we're spending on screens and what that looks like for kids that are growing up with a lot of screen time and a lot of online interactions as opposed to personal interactions, and how important it is to have a personal interaction, especially for kids that are learning how that looks, how you read a person's face and not an emoji. And that's so important. Those are important skills that we biologically need in our bodies. Like, we need that connection. We need to feel that support. So every time when you think like, well, I'll just do it all myself, then I don't need anybody. No, you do. And that doesn't make you weak. And that doesn't make you, um, any of the like negative connotations that comes with. But human beings are we rely on that type of connection. And that's important for our health and longevity long term.
It's
Like,
so important. I also loved the support question. I everybody recognizes this when people get old. Everybody says, for people that are, in their 80s, oh, they got to keep going to we got to make sure they keep going to bingo and they keep with their friends and everybody knows this, but they just are thinking that you can apply it when you're 80 and that's going to have some kind of like applying it when you're 20 consistently the whole way through is the key to longevity. And of course, will it give you some extra years in your older years? Absolutely. It's been shown that over and over. But really the key to health is having that connection all along and having that support all along and constantly looking around and saying like, I
where can
have
I
people,
get
but
it?
are they supportive?
Yeah, and kind of, like, doing a little, like, self-eval of that and where I might be able to strengthen those type of connections or look for more of a connection because, at different stages in your life, you find connections with different people, and I think that that's, like, such an important thing to recognize because old connections that you may have had don't feel supportive anymore. That's okay.
That's okay.
That's genuinely okay because, like, sometimes it just doesn't you don't feeling that support and you just say, like, "Well, the season that I'm in, I really feel supported by someone who's going like, 'I know you only had 20 minutes to work out today, but you made it.'" You know what I'm saying? That
Mhm.
understands that, like, this is the season that I'm in, and this is what happened leading to me getting out the door, and I don't have 2 hours at the gym right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that connections feel more supportive for me right now, and that won't be forever, but that's what feels supportive for me right now, and I think it's important for every person to think about, like, what that looks like, and instead of trying to hold on to prior sometimes there's a great way to reengage, but instead of trying to hold so tightly onto prior connections and try to warp and try to make people into something that would feel supportive for you right now, it might it might serve you to search out connections that actually do feel supportive for you right now in the season that you're in and reach for those.
Authentic.
Authentic.
Authentic ones that feel absolutely, absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break to get you a whole bunch of friends.
Do you like Friends?
We have about 80,000 amazing women friends, more than that, in one space that can't wait to cheer you on in your fitness journey.
Whether it's lifting you up, getting you motivated to get to the gym, complimenting your outfit, we have gathered 80,000 of the best women on the planet and put them all in one place for your friendship pleasure.
Honestly, I would just like pull out some of the amazing quotes from the group because, like, you would think groups like this, you're like, I don't know. And I'm telling you, once you enter in the door, the virtual door, because you can do this anywhere, that you will find the most supportive community you have ever known. And it's called Stronger Together by CVG. You can find us on a Facebook group. It's a closed group, women only, and you got to get in there.
Get in there. It's so inspiring. Join us today. And lastly, a little definitely a surprise to me now that I'm thinking of it, I see, but there was a question on income. And to put a question on 1 out of 29 based solely on what your yearly income was, I think was, it's disheartening sometimes. It's disheartening that that your longevity is tied to something like your yearly income, but it is,
It
and,
100% is one of the largest indicators
it's
to,
frustrating.
overall health. I mean, it goes down to the quality of food that you're able to
Yes.
access, the environment that you're able to access, your perceived stress on a daily basis, like, all of those things are impacted by income, so I was actually really glad to see that because there's so much that sometimes we miss. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that study that has been, a really big it's been a pillar as to, delayed gratification with kids. We've actually referenced it on our podcast before when it came to kids who were willing to wait to have a fresh marshmallow rather than the one that was in front of them, and something that they hadn't controlled for that once they did was a major indicator of not only, like, is this a prediction of, who is able to, have sustain delayed gratification. What's the indicators of that? When they controlled for food security and income, the results were vastly different
Ah,
because the
almost like
children
that was set up to fail from go.
the children were not lacking self-control, discipline. What we do is morally, we say that they were lacking this ability to have long-term success by short-term discomfort. You know what I mean? Like, wait, just wait, and you will receive better things. When they controlled for food security and income, they found that children who did not have food security were more likely to take what was in front of them in the moment because they had developed
Smart,
psychological
because they
smart.
were smart.
That's a great way to say it. Us psychologists, we make it all we put a bunch of words on it, but because they were smart. Because when you don't know what, if anything, is going to come later, you take what's in front of you, and it wasn't a moral flaw. It wasn't that, the indicator of success for them was that they had a moral deficiency and they just couldn't wait. They didn't have any discipline, which I just feel like it just trickles into everything that we have when we set morality with discipline and then we translate that into, like, your success and all of those things, when we don't control for things, like, these are traumatic experiences and how our brain is developed. So anyway, when it comes
And they're
to,
largely
income and
based on
security.
socioeconomic status
Yes.
and where you fall and how little control you might have had over where you fell.
Mm,
Um, it's I get all kind of
I
frustrated,
know.
but I just wanted to mention that it was in there because I think that it's important that we constantly come back to the fact that, like, none of this, um, is tied to morality. It is
Mm,
all, l listen, preventative behaviors on the note of you going to the dentist, yay, yay, yay. Preventative behaviors was the last pillar in questions. And actually, it had a place, but I was shocked at how small of a place it had. It was at the tail end.
mhm.
It only had a couple questions, far less than the lifestyle questions and far less than the mental health questions. It was just, "Hey, do you go to the doctor? How often per year do you get a checkup? Do you get blood work?" And then, of course, the prompt to use their blood work. The app offers, some of the major blood screeners, and, like, you can input your results into there to kind of have your own AI doctor. And do you do routine cancer screenings? Very few out of the 29 questions had to do with what you actually do with a medical provider. Now they were in there, so they're important. Again, if we're only asking 29 questions and something's in there, it matters. But I was a little surprised at how few questions were kind of based in on that traditional, what we think of as, like, I go to the doctor, so that means I'm healthy. Um, I just thought it was interesting, but it's also a very good indicator, of course, of early detection, management, and of course, causation or correlation, whether or not someone values their health. Does that equate to them, going to the doctor every year on a yearly checkup? Do they make time for things like blood work and cancer screenings? Or are they a little bit less apt to do stuff like that? And how does that relate to the rest of their behaviors in on a weekly, daily, monthly basis?
It was definitely in there, but I question how much of an impact it actually had on your kind of like projection for health and longevity because I was projected to live a pretty long time. And this is definitely where I'm the weakest. I don't make time. Obviously, we just talked about my dental visits, but I do brush my teeth on a daily basis and I floss every day. So it becomes this kind of
Every day?
every day. Every day.
Oh
Like, I travel
God.
with it too.
Oh my god. When I go to the dentist every 6 months, but when they floss, it's like, "Hey, girl, why your gums bleeding so much?" "Oh, well, this is probably the first time that I've flossed in
Well, it just becomes
weeks on
that kind
end."
of, like, I think it's a great, like, call to, like, what you do on a daily basis that don't feel like that important, and then it comes to those, like, major kind of, like, bigger, like, change things, and this comes to when people make when they take their health into when they take, like, their evaluation of, like, what they're gonna do and the changes they're gonna make for their health, and you kind of think of this, like, major overhaul. It's gonna this one big event, but what health really is small changes on a daily basis that make up what you do throughout the entire year. So it's not this, like, one diet you go on, it's not the one doctor's visit you go on, it's not the dentist you go on every 6 months, but it is, do you brush your teeth every day? Do you drink enough water? Do you because that's gonna affect, your saliva. What are you eating on a daily basis? Is it a bunch of, like, sugary things that are gonna impact your teeth? Like, those are the real indicators of how you're doing on a daily basis, and I'm not saying there isn't a place for us because, there was what, like, 3 questions or so,
Mhm.
about it, and that is they want to get you to do their blood work and that's the real moneymaker for this app anyway. But when it comes to things that are going to impact how you feel And that's really one because, like, yeah, you have your death date and your longevity, whatever, but how do you feel on a daily basis? Do you feel like a 40-year-old? Do you feel like a you know what I mean? Like, however old you are, do you feel that way in the general sense? Or do you get a good amount of movement in? Do you feel, your inflammation is down? You get enough water? Are you standing enough? Are you walking enough? Like, do you incorporate strength training? Like, those are the real indicators as to how you're gonna feel on a daily basis, and then they're gonna be the overall markups for your health.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever for me, wanting to know when am I gonna die? What's the exact date? It's this app really raised the question of how are you living right now?
Mm. Mhm.
And I think that that is a valuable question, significantly more valuable than how long I'm going to live or what the exact date of my death is. And, like you said, what actually is moving the needle? It it's not nobody asked about did you do a 75 or hard? Not a single question on how many marathons you've run, not a single question on, do you eat a keto diet? These questions just weren't there. And obsessing over these type of things
Mm.
in the spirit of health and longevity is just it doesn't have that connection. So I guess what I really took from this, other than, just like, there was a little of a bit of a comical edge to, like, yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna live till I'm oh my god. I told Mark, I said, like, "This is my day." He said the weirdest thing. He was
But
like, "Oh, well, that's good. You'll," because it was, like, July 12th or something. He's like, "Oh, that's good. You get one more 4th of July." I was like, "Oh, what? What an
Yeah.
odd thing to say." But, like, also my age was like, "Oh, look at Marky. I'm gonna live so much longer, than you,"
Did he
which
take it?
is yeah, I mean, just in general, him
Oh,
inputting that he's a man and
was he
me
less
inputting that I'm a woman, like, just, as we said, like, this is just going off of basic, population studies, and so I'm sure that,
I'm gonna
like,
have Matt take it.
listen,
I don't know if he's gonna outlive me, and I'll be able to burn all my candles.
that's what I told him. I said, "I can't wait to outlive you.
Ouch,
All I'm gonna
Bridget.
do is roll around in a king size bed alone. It's gonna be awesome, and then I'm just gonna burn candles until," if you don't know, my husband is, like, the weirdest. He came in here before we
Anti-candles.
started. I was vibing with, like, this, like, I was vibing with a scent. He was like, "I'm just gonna blow this out so you don't die." I'm gonna burn all the
You
candles.
know what?
But
We have a person who has a lot of, like, irrational fears or anxieties, and Mark was vibing with this person, and he said to her, "Do you know about candles?" I nearly fell over because I know the candle that'll and I was like
listen, before anybody comes for me in the comments, okay, I'm burning all natural soy. Like, like, I'm not, like, going to Bed Bath and Beyond and just, like, getting all the what are they called? Palanthes and all
Mm.
the listen, I'm
I
doing
think my
essential
time
oil.
working at Bed Bath& and Beyond has probably taken 3 years off.
I mean, the smell when you go in there is next level. And now we have all this stuff. It tells us, okay, we need to do better. That's actually not great for us. All right, fine. But can
I
I
got
have
my
some
soy.
joy?
Can I have some
I have
joy?
soy and I have joy and I need to have a little of it. Okay. So, like, I'm trying. But all in all, can you guarantee yourself a longer life? No. Okay. This app didn't factor in if you get hit by a bus in the next 30 seconds. It didn't factor in if
Kung Fu fighting with
environmental
Ryan Reynolds.
factors. You could have a kung fu fight with Ryan Reynolds and lose. That could be the end.
Any
You
moment.
you could there's so many things that are unpredictable environmentally. Like, are you around a major carcinogen and you don't know it? And are you going to succumb to cancer because of it? Absolutely, these things. I'm sorry. I know that nobody wants to talk about that. But yeah, you can't guarantee yourself a longer life, but you can build a better one today, right now, based on the very next thing you do. And isn't that fun?
I think that's fun.
So don't be, all down on me about the death clock app and making you do it because it's not what it's about.
No, I feel a different, after taking it and being able to think about the questions and laugh about it a little bit, I feel differently, but I was also like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna die the day I'm gonna die," and then I have to go back and think how many days that is until then, and,
No,
like,
no,
no,
you do this. You say like, but today
I'm gonna drink more water.
I'm gonna go for a walk.
Mhm.
I'm gonna drink water. I'm like that. Like I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I care about what I'm gonna do today. That is gonna be like supporting how I want to feel tomorrow and in
And beyond.
2077. Is that when that's when I'm gonna
No,
die?
it's after
2077.
that.
Oh,
I
I
think
know. I
it's
think I was. No, you outlived me. I mean, you're younger.
2084.
That's yours. I'm
Well,
2077.
I'm younger, but I also am gonna live more years.
Yeah, yeah. I only made it to 92 in my thing, but
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. That's
I'm
listen. Listen, I j I'm a raisin. What do you want me to say? There's only so long a raisin can go without
You need so today Rachel's gonna drink more water. Tell us what you're gonna do today to improve your health and longevity, going forward for your next thinking about 2084 is a weird thing anyway.
And if you're a weirdo, take the debt. Go get it. Go. It's free on the App Store. Don't forget to cancel that subscription though, because then you'll be mad. But go get it. Did you cancel?
No, but I will.
I sent you a text
I know.
reminder.
This is my problem. This is it's a problem.
I'm gonna say,
Listen,
all right.
listen. I want everyone to know that the number one thing people with ADHD are mad at themselves about is their executive function, and we beat ourselves up enough about it. Did you do the thing? Did you do the thing? Why am I still asking myself if I did the thing?
Close the loop.
It's crazy.
You're gonna do it right now. We're gonna end, and then you're gonna do it right now while you're still on with me. We're just gonna. It's a one click.
You're right.
Anyways, let us know if you take it, and if you're a morbid weirdo, like, and you want to do it, just do it. It's fun. It's
All
just for
right, guys.
fun.
Have a great week. We love you.